Hey guys, and welcome back to the Nige-Rider channel. As you can see, I'm slowly starting to sort things out and get things tidy, and I'm going to take this opportunity because I've got to take this off. I've still got fuel left in this tank which I need to get out. Thought, you know what, let's talk fuel. Right guys, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I'm about to remove the throttle body from the tank, from up here. There's still fuel left in it, which is why it's on its side, but I thought while I'm going to do this, let's go through the anatomy of what we've got here. And if you can see right at the top end here, we have the fuel sender, so that actually tells us how much fuel we've got inside the tank. This big thing here is the full fuel pump and fuel filter. And then obviously we've got the fuel inline going to the fuel rails, and then going to the injectors, which are all down here. Now because it's a V4, it's set up as a square because this sits inside the well of the V, which we'll get to when I show you the engine in more detail when I've got everything cleaned up, because it's still a bloody mess in there, it really is. So inside, so these are throttle bodies. They're completely different to carburetors, because all they do is they let air in, whereas a carburetor mixes air and fuel together, as well as stores it in a float. So this is actually a multi-point fuel injection unit. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 injectors. You can get units that are single point. I don't think I've ever seen one on a bike. But on cars, I've seen them on the cars, it's just basically a very big throttle body with an injector sat in the middle which squirts the fuel down. So this actually squirts fuel into the combustion chamber at the right time. So it's timed perfectly. Now in order to do that, it has to be under pressure, which it is. And strangely enough, this has still, after all this time, still been under pressure. Now because I've got dodgy hands, because I'm old and waiting for surgery, which shouldn't be too long, a good friend of mine has been round and loosened everything off for me. So hopefully this should be easy to actually undo and show you what we've got. So as I said, this is the actual pipe in, so that's the fuel going in. Now if you see there's another pipe here, this is the fuel return. So what happens is the fuel comes into the actual rail, along the rail, injects in, across the rail to the other rail, injects in, and any fuel that's spare gets passed back, and it's underneath here, gets passed back round and put back into the tank. Pretty smart, eh? That way then you're not losing any fuel, and it maintains a nice closed pressurized system. This bit here on the top is our thermostat and our choke. Now all this does is actually opens the butterflies and increases the throttle and our starter valves, which are here. So if you remember the video I did where I adjusted my starter valves, the only one that doesn't adjust is cylinder 1. I think it's cylinder 1 or cylinder 2. Cylinder 2. These ones adjust the other cylinders, but I want to get this stripped out. I want to let this ventilate, because I want to get this in, I want to get it cleaned out, because as you can see, it is just a little bit minging. And obviously, the better this is, the better it will run. We've got crap everywhere, to be quite honest with you. So, now this bolt here is a 17mm bolt, and as I said, a friend of mine's been in and undone it for me and loosened it. Now this is a Banjo bolt. Basically it is a, well, I suppose it looks like a banjo. Yeah, so that's the easiest way to know. Now you always get a couple of washers with Banjo bolts. It's always wise to put the washers back on, keep them safe. And there is another Banjo bolt up the top here, but it is an Allen key variety. As I said, I've been lucky enough to have somebody loosen all the bolts for me so I don't have to. Oh, you have to be very, very careful. So that is the main fuel hose. So there's our other washer. So there's our main fuel hose. Now you can actually get quite high grade braided fuel hoses, which I might look at. It's also worth checking these, because obviously it's usually around this area here that things start going wrong and they start leaking. So it's a good idea to check. So, and then I'm going to put this bolt back inside the tank so I know where it is and I don't lose it, because the last thing I want to do is lose that. Now hopefully, I just realised my coffee's the other side and I don't want to throw my coffee everywhere. Have a quick sip of coffee. Now let's see if, yeah, so that's just pushed on, and hopefully this will pop off like it has done. I've still got fuel left in there, which is why it's on its side. So there we are. So now my throttle body is completely free from, and there's still petrol in there. This is the petrol's coming out, which I'm going to leave to ventilate. It's completely free, and you can see all the vacuum pipes underneath. So these are the starter valves, and this is like lets air bypass the system into there, and that's the end of the injector. So you can see in there, there's quite dirty all over. There's a lot of dirt on this. This is all from the well inside the engine. So I'm going to get a chance to look at all this and strip it all down and give it a really good clean up, because these, which are the rubbers that connect it to the engine, or the inlet manifold should I say, were really badly corroded, and the rubber themselves have gone really hard, and that's what usually happens with breather hoses. Right, let's move this out of the way. So that's our throttle body. Now this here is our, oh, see, look, still got fuel in it, so I'm gonna readjust so we don't lose any more fuel. So it's leaking out everywhere. If I can hold that like, so hopefully I'll be able to get more fuel out when I've got this fuel filter off. So let's move you over to here. Now, if we lower this down, there we go. This is the best thing I ever bought, this stand. Now, hopefully, fuel should never leak out of here. Oh, you can see that. If it does, your seal's gone. It needs to be checked. So this is leaked from this. So this, if you can see, yes you can see, is the fuel pump. Now the reason I'm taking this off is because I want to get inside and get the rest of this fuel out. And this will be the easiest way to do it, by taking off this fuel pump. Also in here is the pre-filter and the fuel filter. And it seems a bit scary that we actually have a fuel pump inside a petrol tank. So now there's a rubber gasket around there which I need to check as well, and obviously when it goes back together we need to make sure that that rubber gasket goes back in the right place so it doesn't leak fuel, because this is going to leak. If it did, it will leak straight on top of the engine, and that's something you don't want to do. Oh no, you don't want to do that. That would be quite bad, to say the least. Right, now this should, he says, hopefully pop up and just lift off. There we go. Here, and it's just a case of wiggling it out of the tank. Ah. Oh, that's the pre-filter, which was all jammed in there. And there it is. Look how big that is. So that's the pre-filter, which looks like a scouring pad. That's the fuel filter, that's the fuel pump, and obviously it sucks it in because it's upside down, sucks it in into the pump, and pumps it around. So it sucks it in through the pump, through the filter, out through this bit here, and a lovely smell of petrol everywhere. And there's still loads of petrol left in there, so we're going to let that drain. Okay, so that was in the fuel pump and fuel filter, so I'll put that out there. And now I've got lovely access inside the tank where I can get rid of the rest of the petrol that happens to be floating around inside. And I've got to admit, the tank looks really good on the inside. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next time when I've hopefully done more tidying up and we can get some more work done on the bike. Cheerio, catch you later.